It was one of those warm Saturday nights when the whole house felt alive, filled with laughter, clinking glasses, and the smell of food sizzling on the grill. We had invited a few close friends over for a relaxed, cheerful get-together. I had just poured myself a glass of wine when I caught sight of her slipping inside, wearing a smile that felt a little too deliberate. And right behind her was the last person I expected to see, her so-called backup man, the one she had been quietly involved with for months. My chest tightened for a second, but I held on to a steady smile. No one else sensed the storm creeping in beneath the surface. She strutted in confidently, linking her arm with his, whispering something that made him chuckle. I stayed still, composed, while the room's atmosphere shifted almost imperceptibly. Guests glanced over, intrigued by the unfamiliar face, unaware of the real tension beginning to simmer. I felt adrenaline rising, but I reminded myself that control came from calmness. Instead of confronting her or stirring chaos, I inhaled slowly and offered a light smile to those around me, letting my stillness speak louder than anything I could say. Then, in the most level voice imaginable, I looked directly at him and said, "Take over, pal." It sounded playful on the surface, but the meaning behind it hit like a hammer. The room froze. Conversations cut off mid-sentence, glasses paused halfway in the air, everyone unsure if they'd heard me right. Her eyes shot wide open. The smug expression she walked in with evaporated instantly. She never saw this kind of response coming, this quiet, unwavering control. The silence pressed down on everyone. Confusion, tension, disbelief all swirling together. I didn't shout. I didn't accuse her. I didn't lash out. I simply studied her, letting her own guilt unravel her confidence for me. "Take over, pal," I murmured again, softly, almost amused, as if testing her nerve. The effect was instantaneous. The night was no longer about food, fun, or small talk. It was about the three of us and the truth I had just calmly laid bare. Her skin drained of color as she finally understood the weight behind my composure. She tried to speak, but nothing came out. Around us, people whispered quietly, their eyes bouncing between her, me, and the man she had proudly brought into my home. Her Plan B man looked just as unsettled, suddenly aware he had stepped into a situation far bigger than he could handle. Rather than escalate anything, I motioned toward the far side of the room and said gently, "Make yourself comfortable." My tone was smooth, almost polite, but sharp enough to cut through the tension hanging in the air. Guests shifted in their seats, feeling the silent electricity crackling between us. Her confidence was shattered, replaced with panic and disbelief. I could practically see her scrambling inside, trying desperately to regain her balance, but she had completely underestimated me. The stillness was suffocating, but my calm made the moment even more powerful. I turned away and struck up a light conversation with a group of friends, giving her and him no attention, making them feel the full weight of being socially exposed. Every time she glanced at me, I saw fear and shock. She had prepared for a dramatic scene, maybe yelling, maybe a fight. What she wasn't prepared for, what she couldn't defend herself against, was this calm dominance that revealed everything without a single raised voice. The man beside her attempted to speak, perhaps to show confidence, but I gave him a small smile and said, "I think you've already made your point." The room went completely still. Nothing about my tone was threatening. It was simply precise, so clear that her usual tricks had nowhere left to hide. Guests exchanged stunned whispers, trying to understand the sudden unraveling. She forced out a weak laugh, attempting to regain control, but it sounded empty. My steady composure had stripped her of every ounce of authority. Her Plan B man seemed to shrink beside her, less bold, suddenly out of place, like someone who had walked into the wrong life event. I continued moving through the room, greeting friends, laughing lightly, radiating warmth. Every interaction drew a sharper contrast between my calm confidence and her anxiety. Guests watched closely, whispering about how completely she had been exposed without me even raising my voice. Minutes dragged by, the tension thicker with every passing second, until she finally murmured something to him. He glanced at me nervously, suddenly aware of the power I held in the room. I lifted my glass, nodded casually, and maintained that effortless sense of detachment. The quiet around us was more powerful than any confrontation could have been. Eventually, she excused herself and hurried out, pulling him along with her, leaving behind a room full of wide-eyed, speechless guests. They stared at me, stunned, murmuring in disbelief. I hadn't yelled. I hadn't lost control. And yet everyone had seen her confidence crumble in real time. What remained was a lingering impression of quiet strength and total composure. After the party wrapped up, people lingered, whispering about how flawlessly the situation had been handled. I didn't need to explain. The calm, calculated response spoke for itself. The message was unmistakable. Dignity and self-control carry far more weight than anger ever could. Later that night, sitting alone in the living room, I thought back over the events. A casual gathering had turned into a moment of truth, one that revealed everything without chaos or humiliation. Her dramatic entrance with her Plan B man had exploded in her face. And it wasn't rage that exposed her. It was patience. Stillness. Unshakable composure. Everything she tried to hide came crashing into the open, and every guest left with a clear understanding of who truly held the power.